Welcome back to another episode of College Football Unabridged. We got to tackle this one. This is going to be fun. Florida State and what seems to be just waiting for the inevitable to happen with Norvell. Kind of seemed like it was going to happen last year, but it seemed like they didn't have the resources together to do the buyout, all that, and it's kind of been a mess. Malzahn ended up stepping down from OC. You know, they retain Tony White, who's a good DC. They bring in some guys. Ashton Daniels. Showed some flashes at Stanford. Auburn was just a whole nother situation in Auburn last year. They bring in Wisner from Texas, running back there. It's a solid running back. They have Deuce Robinson, who's just a monster, big Florida State prototypical Florida State receiver. They got Danzy there, who's good. They got pieces. They brought in Xavier Chaplin on offensive line from Auburn, I believe, if I'm correct on that one. They got pieces. Defense. They got some pieces there. It just kind of, even with the talent they have and the stuff, and it's just, how much is it going to take to keep Norvell, for him to keep his job. They start the year New Mexico State, and then they got New Mexico State week 1, and then they got Central Arkansas week 4. Outside of that, they have the potential to lose every other game. They also have potential to pull. I mean, no one saw Alabama last year coming for that victory. But after New Mexico State, you got SMU, who returning their guys. That's a good solid team. Then they got to go at Alabama after beating Alabama, humiliating Alabama. Honestly, last year they got to go to Alabama, which is not a good spot for them. Let's say in Central Arkansas, but then they got Virginia. They got to go at Louisville, at Miami, Clemson. I mean, that stretch there is just ridiculous. And then capping off the year, they always got to play Florida. It's just kind of a just waiting on it, and not that I want to see anybody fired, not that I want to anything like that. Norvell's seems to be overall does a good coach, but then you look through. I mean, they had the undefeated season. You look through that season and you wonder, how much of it. Now, the defense really was good, and Jordan Travis was a good athlete, a good player, and but a lot of those games were games they should have been winning, that they had to come back on, or they had to do, which is it's a sign of a good team to be able to come back. But you can go 12-0, you can go 6-6 off that. So it's off that one season. Norvell's kind of got a longer leash because of it, but it's definitely probably the number one hot seat job right now. It's kind of almost it's gonna happen type thing. But he has a chance. If he can rattle off some wins, if he can show where the team is. One of my biggest issues, we have not really seen as a consistent starter a Norvell picked guy. We've had transfers, someone coming in that it's his guy. He's picked out from the high school ranks. He's recruited. We're doing a rent a quarterback every year. You had DJ Ukulele. You had Ashton Daniels this year. You had Tommy Castellanos. You had Jordan Travis, who's started off as a receiver at Louisville, and he came in. I mean, he's a good player. But it's just like I would love to see him go get a quarterback, which they have not had a whole lot of premier quarterback recruiting. Go get a guy, bring him in, and see something where this is the foundation of it. and not just, hey, we're going to throw some guys in here, see what clicks, hopefully it works. That formula may work, but we've seen it. We've seen 12-0, and then what was it, like 2-10 the next year, um, and 5-7 last year. So it's kind of it's time. So we're see how it goes. I imagine Florida State fans aren't too optimistic. Imagine it's kind of um, hold your nose and watch the game, and get through the season and wait to see what happens next year with the coaching cycle, and kind of hope for the best.